If you own a business and you've tried to run ads before, then you've probably run into a few roadblocks, all right? Now, this system here is the same exact system that we've used to generate hundreds of thousands of pounds over the past couple of months, all right, with clients. And these clients range from industry to industry, from local businesses to SaaS agencies to e-commerce brands, all right? This is applicable to every single business. So if you genuinely are serious about scaling your brand or your business or your SaaS agency, and you are serious about it, and you don't want to run into these roadblocks, you want to make sure that you're staying away from these mistakes as far as possible, then here is how you do it. We coined this the 3D advantage matrix, and you're going to see why in a second. It's broken up into 3 different phases. Phase 1, differentiate, okay? Here we're making you stand out in the market. So, point of this is everybody looks the exact same inside of the market. We do this so well that people who come across you cannot sleep at night, okay? This comes through, first of all, deep target market research. You want to know your customer inside out. What makes them trigger? What makes them buy? What makes them not buy? What catches their attention? What doesn't catch their attention? You need to find this out, because this is the basis for all of your marketing and advertising efforts. If you do not have this, nothing will work. Nothing. You can throw hundreds of millions at ads, you will go broke. All right? This is number 1 priority. You need to know your customer inside out. Second thing, USP, offer, and value proposition creation. All right? You need to be testing all the time different USPs, different offers, different value propositions. And the second you find one, stick to it and hammer it home all the time. You need to stick to one value proposition and hammer it home. This is essential because phase 2 is where we demand. All right? We're catching active demand for your service. Now, okay. A lot of you are going to say Meta ads doesn't actually catch demand. However, what you don't know is that when you first start running Meta ads, what it will do is, because Meta's algorithm is clever, it will automatically find bottom of the funnel people. The data points that Meta has, it's in the trillions, quadrillions, quintillions. It is absolutely insane. It's mental how much data they have. But because of that excess amount of data, you can easily target bottom of the funnel people who are actively looking to buy right now. They've done their research. They know they have a problem. They've researched their problem. They've researched the different solutions, and they are there looking to buy right now. And this is where Meta ads comes in. Now, Meta ads is a small part of this, because bottom of the funnel people will come not much at the beginning, okay? Meta ads is more of a top of the funnel, nurturing them, bringing them all the way down to bottom of the funnel thing. So this is why we also predominantly use Google ads, all right? Google ads, I'm sure you all know, PPC campaigns. You start off with search if you haven't run any Google ads before, if you haven't got any data. Reason being is, if you jump straight into a Performance Max campaign, you're going to drain your budget, all right? Performance Max needs that data to target the right customer. I'll show you what I mean. Let's say you have this. This is your market. This here is your market, or this is the market, all right? Now, with Performance Max, there is no designated place that you've understood where your customers are. They could be here, they could be here, they could be here, they could be anywhere, they could be anywhere. And so what Performance Max will do is it will start shooting in all these different directions. It will start shooting, and it will waste a whole ton of budget. It will find your segment of the market. It will, because that's what it's meant to do. Google is absolutely superior. Like Meta has an excess amount of information and data points on a number of people. All right. So what we do here instead is very simple. What we do is, let me get my pen. Same market, same product. What we do first is we run search campaigns. Reason being is because when you run search campaigns, you can automatically see what people are searching up for. All right. And that is effectively your target market research. You know exactly what people are searching up, and it will also find you that space in the market. So there's no need for guesswork. There's no need for all that guesswork here. There's none of that. There's none of that. Your search campaign will automatically find your market, and the Performance Max will understand that, and it will target it predominantly, and therefore all of your budget will be spent on that market. Okay? That is why it's so important that you either bring in any customer data from Klaviyo. You want to create lookalike audiences. If you have Klaviyo, use Klaviyo. If you have a CRM, use your CRM. If you've run Meta ads before, use that. If you've run PPC campaigns before and you have all that data and you have conversions, a good number of conversions, I'd say at least 100 conversions, then sure, jump straight into Performance Max. You should be fine. But if you don't, you need to start off with something that's going to bring you data. Now, when I say search campaign, you can also do shopping campaigns. Anything works really, as long as as long as you have that customer data, and as long as you have conversion tracking set up, and Google can see the types of people who are converting into leads or customers or clients, then Performance Max will work. All right, so that's Google Ads done. Now we move on to Meta Ads. I briefly covered Meta Ads before, but what it will do is you have this funnel, right? Here, here, here. You have people here who are looking to buy already. You have here people who are looking for more information on different solutions. They're looking for different options. Here where people are problem aware, and here you have people who aren't problem aware. Now ultimately this place makes up 3% of your market, okay? This part makes up 97% of your market. So with Meta Ads, what you're trying to do is you're trying to target this massive number right here. This massive audience right here, because that place there is 97% of your market. Alright? Why would you target this measly 3%? Why would you target this measly 3% of people when you can target 97% of your audience? People who are going to buy at one point. They will give you money. There will be a transaction in one point. You should be focusing all of your energy on this. I'd say all of your sales relatively are going to come from this place here. All of this yellow highlighted that is where all of your sales are going to come from. At the beginning, when you first start running Meta Ads, yes, you may get a couple sales from here because, like I said earlier, Meta Ads algorithm is super smart. It knows who is bottom of the funnel. It knows who is trying to buy right now. I don't know how the Meta Ads algorithm works, all right? What I do know from experience, from running ads for multiple clients in the past and having generated hundreds of thousands of dollars for clients, is that this here only works for the first couple weeks, if that. Most of the time, couple days, you get your first couple transactions, and then it goes cold. You need to be targeting this 97% of people. That is where all of your revenue is going to come from, and that is what's going to make advertising profitable for you. So, now we've covered this. Let's go on to part 3. Phase 3 is where we drive, okay? Here we're multiplying customers. We're turning one customer into repeat customers. Imagine you get one customer, okay? Your whole business, you've only got one customer per customer. Imagine if you times each customer by just 2. That's doubling your business. I'm not sure if you understand how effective this is, but if you double your business, that's 200% increase. I mean, look, the way we do this, again, is we do Performance Max campaigns and we do display campaigns for Google Ads. Meta Ads, we're carrying on with that, and we're doing a whole bunch of different campaign structures, so we know that we are targeting the right people, we're entering the right message that's going on in people's brains. We need to enter the conversation that's going on in people's brains and enter with the right message, say the right thing at the right time every single time. And then we also dabble in email and SMS marketing. However, honestly, most of the work is done here. This is where most of your money is going to come from. This is good. If you get a professional doing this for you, perfect. It's great. However, from my experience in my past, I've noticed that these two work the best because it doesn't look forced. When you're running email and SMS marketing, everybody knows that you're trying to sell them. There's no other reason for you to be sending emails or SMS marketing messages. There is no other reason. However, when people see an ad that looks native to the platform and is entertaining, you're disrupting their attention span from scrolling, or binge watching YouTube videos. When you interrupt them, they have actively chosen, I'm gonna watch this. And they watch it, and it's their own decision, and people still feel like they're in control. And if you know one thing about human nature is that if you want someone to do something, you need to make them feel like they are choosing to do that thing. Alright? That's just human nature in general. So yeah, here we're running PMAX campaigns and display campaigns. Ultimately, most of this is going to be retargeting. You might want to have 2 different campaigns for PMAX. One just solely looking for new customers, and one that's more of a retargeting campaign. And then it's the exact same with display ads. Display ads, I wouldn't usually go for bidding for new customers. I would only ever really use display campaigns if I'm retargeting. That's the only time I would ever use that. With Meta Ads, here you just want to scale. You want to scale, you might see your return on ad spend drop, but your total revenue will increase. This is true. Your total revenue will increase. What I mean by this is, if you're spending 20k per month and you're there at 4x ROAS. Right? What that means is that you're getting 80k. Of course, you got cost of goods and all of that. You got your overheads minus that. Anyway, look at this. Let's say at this point you're spending 50 grand a month. 50 grand a month, and you're at a 3 return on ad spend. That's $150,000. The return on ad spend is smaller. Alright? The return on ad spend is smaller. However, you are making a lot more money. You're making a lot more money. Your total revenue has expanded. And that is the goal. You're not trying to go for return on ad spend. You're not trying to go for ROAS, because ROAS doesn't mean anything. It's a number. It's not money. It certainly isn't a currency. It's just a number that tells you how effective your spend is. Now, this is true. When you spend more, your spend will be less effective. This is just general. You cannot escape this. If you want to make more money and you want to scale, you have to deal with it. And this is exactly how you deal with it. You just scale. Now, you can't just throw more money at Meta and hope, yeah, I'm going to make so much more money. No, there's a whole bunch of different things that go into it. But effectively, at the end of the day, you will need to spend more money on Meta. Okay, if you really want to scale. Now, that might be obvious. What might not be so obvious is that you really need a constant supply of new creatives. At this point, I'd say every single week. Every single week, you need new creatives coming in. Because the second people get bored of your ads, you will see them tank. And it's very, very difficult to get them back up again at the end. It's very, very difficult. So you need to make sure that you are constantly, every single week, you're bringing new creatives out. And it's not just for new customers that you're bringing them out. You want to bring them out for every single part of the customer buying journey. You need to bring them out for new customers. You need to bring them out for people who you're doing retention for. You need to, in your retention campaign, where people have already bought and you're just targeting them again. You need to also bring new campaigns out for retargeting. You need to bring new campaigns out for anybody who you want to target with your Meta ads. There has to be new creatives constantly being flying out. And it is the most influential factor that I've ever seen that has tremendously expanded. Not just return on ad spend, but total revenue. Total revenue. You won't even have to spend more. You will see more revenue, more ad spend being used effectively if you have multiple creatives. Now, there is a good video. I'm going to give a shout out here. Not that he needs it, but I'm going to give a shout out here to Sam Polero, because I actually did learn this from him. But the way you do this is you have CBOs, alright? CBO, this is your prospecting campaign. Here, you're constantly putting in new creatives. There's new creatives coming in every single week, alright? You have new creatives coming in, and what a CBO does is you have, let's say you have one campaign, this is your campaign, you have multiple ad sets, alright? These are ad sets. What a CBO will do is any budget that you put into here, Meta will see this. So let me put campaign there, see for campaign. Meta will see your budget and it will think, okay, well, let me give some here, let me give some here, let me give some here, and see which one performs best. Now, if this one performs best, it will give that one more. And it won't give this one as much. It might give it a little bit more to test. It might give this one a little bit more as well. Maybe this one proved to be a little bit better than that one, so it might give that one a little bit more. But ultimately, here what you're doing is you're giving Meta the ability to just throw ad spend at what is working, and that is what you want to do. And the second you see one that has a low cost per click, it has a high click-through rate, and it has a high return on ad spend, that is when you graduate this into your scaling campaign. Your scaling campaign is an ABO. So this is effectively the same thing as this, except for your budget is placed on every single individual ad set, and that way you're making sure that every single ad that is worked is getting sufficient ad spend, and it's not just being tested forever perpetually. All right, this is what an ABO is, and you really need to be you need to digest all of this information. It might be a bit complicated for all of you who aren't advertising gurus or advertising experts. I understand, but you need to make sure that you understand this. Genuinely, I would say this video, I would come back to it when you're going to start creating your first campaigns, or if you're going to start optimizing. This is what you really need to do. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section. I'll try and get back to everyone. And yeah, make sure you like and subscribe and comment. If you guys want a free 30-minute consultation call where I'll basically take you over this in a lot more detail and how we can do this for you, for your business, to make sure that you're making more money, scale your business into multi-seven figures, then make sure that you click the link in the description below, and I'll be back in touch with you.